welcome back to WRPL. It's the podcast where we talk about all the things we are watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben.
And I'm Steve.
What's up, Steve?
Not much, Ben. What's going on with you?
Oh, another day in paradise, you know?
Yep.
Just every time you get onto any sort of social media, it's more doom and gloom. It's a fucking hellscape. But we're not here to talk about that as much as I'd like to rant and, you know.
We're here to talk about things that actually matter, like movies and TVs
Like
and
movies
books and stuff that we've been playing and watching and reading and all that good stuff.
So hard
You
to
know,
focus
the
on.
stuff that the American people really care about.
Well, today's main topic is Companion. And we've got a couple other things. Let's start with a roll.
Wait, am I going first, or you can go first, or we just do whatever?
I went first last time, and you said whoever goes first gets the higher number.
Okay, then I'm rolling first.
All right.
Oh, no!
Is that a 1?
I got a 1.
Ah! Your
This
luck
is it,
has changed.
I jinxed myself. 4. Wow.
Oh, my God. At least like a 12. You know, give me a little bit more of a distance.
10 or higher, you that's a death save right there.
Oof, bad episode. Well, I got the higher number. I go first.
Wonderful.
So, you know, I watched a couple of rewatches. Rewatched From Dusk Till Dawn. Perfect movie. No notes. I rewatched Kids in the Hall Brain Candy. I've been looking for this at Second and Charles forever. I wanted to find one, a regular DVD version, because I know it has like bonus features and stuff like that. But it's been years, so I bit the bullet and just bought one on Blu-ray, which has absolutely no features. You can't even like fast forward.
What?
You could pause it, and that's it. There's no chapter selection. I think there's subtitles. That's it. You can't even fast forward. It was ridiculous.
That's
still great. I don't think it holds up as much, but my nostalgia and love for Kids in the Hall is just, you know. But new thing just started. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Oh, I didn't realize that started. Okay.
Yeah, first 2 episodes are out. I've only watched 1. It's fine. Yeah, I'm not super impressed. I do like a few things. It's Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and I thought this was going to be everything that led up to him in Civil War.
Sure.
And it kind of is, but it's not.
Okay.
So the first episode ends the same way. He finds like a DVD player, comes home. Hey, Aunt May, there's a fancy car out there. You know, that whole thing.
Nice.
That's the last bit, and I'll get to that. But we get to see like where the spider that bit him came from. Like Doctor Strange comes through a portal fighting Venom, and yeah, just crashing into his first day of high school, and the spider comes through the portal and gets on him. But he has different friends. You could tell like this is not the same exact world. It's a little different.
Sure.
And by the end, it's made clear, you know, oh, it's the fancy car. Who's Aunt May's guess? And you're expecting Tony Stark, and it's actually Norman Osborn. Like, oh, okay, different take. I like that. We'll see where it goes. It's not great looking, though.
Yeah.
It looks kind of, and I hate, you know, we use it for everything, but like AI.
Sure.
There's just something phony about it and undetailed. But then other times, like, oh, that little action beat, that was pretty cool. It just feels like it's stealing from things like Spider-Verse, but it is the like Cocoa Melon version of it.
That is a horrible comparison.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to watch the next episode tonight. There's been like quote unquote controversy, which I think it just depends on how Disney is going to handle it. But the dude who does Peter Parker's voice, people are getting on him because he's like, I was really excited to do this. I just wanted to make sure they didn't make it woke. And people are like, oh, fuck you, dude. You know, Spider-Man and comic books have been woke since forever. It's all about anyone could be Spider-Man under that mask. It could be a black kid. It could be an Asian girl. It could be anyone. And for you to say that shows your fundamental misunderstanding of this character. And I would not be surprised if they fire him and recast it, or it just doesn't get a second season. So we'll see how that goes. But right now it's fine.
All right. Well, I look forward to see how you feel about it. Is there any chance that the animation will grow on you? Because sometimes I've started an anime thing and I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about this, but then by the end I'm like, all right, you know what? That
It
wasn't
might,
actually bad.
I'd like same with Creature Commandos. I wasn't super hot on it, but as it went on, like, no, I'm just dumb. It is really good. It could, but it just has a cheapness to it
Mm-hmm.
that like What If does, where it's like, oh, I see what you're doing, but maybe your walk animations are a little funky, or the way lips move, and I don't have any issues with that. It just looks so lacking any sort
Yeah.
of depth. I think the Coco Melon version of Spider Verse is the best way to describe it.
So tonally, do you feel like it fits in with the Marvel world, or do you think like this is a show designed for 12-year-olds? Now I
You,
know, granted, the Marvel movies are kind of designed for 12-year-olds too,
yeah.
but there is like deeper things and like there's some dark stuff in the films. Does this one feel like it fits in that world, or like, oh no, this is
This is
gonna
gonna
be a
play it pretty safe, I
okay,
think.
yeah.
But like I said, I'm only one in. Venom seemed kind of scary and different, so maybe it can get dark, but I don't know. I think it will
So
be fun and adventurous, and look at all these fun different characters, and it's not gonna break the rules, or break new ground or anything like that.
so Venom, he's fighting Doctor Strange, and Venom is still left in this world.
No, they fuck off. Like Doctor Strange comes down and he's like, "Oh, where are we? I'm not supposed to be here." And then they fight, and then he takes him back.
Got
But
it.
the spider was left behind. So
Sure.
yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
What do you got?
This will be exciting for nobody. Um, so this world is very big on Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even get these fucking cards because they're just scooped up all the time. So to combat that, I guess they made a Pokemon trading card game, like mobile app.
Oh, okay.
It's free. You get free cards every day. You can open 2 packs for free. There's like a premium subscription where you get 3 and other like exclusive stuff. But it's just like a collect these Pokemon cards, and there's like a battling system, and the battling system is actually like kind of fun.
Is it like the actual card game battling system?
It's very similar,
Okay.
but I think in like a traditional Pokemon game, a card game, it's like 60 cards is like the standard. Where this is you get 20, but that's because you have to pad the your decks with energy. Where like
Mm.
you're still adding energy, but you don't have to draw energy. You get energy every turn.
Okay.
So it's very simplified. Each game takes like 5 minutes or less, really. So if you want to get an idea of like how to play Pokemon, it is kind of fun and pretty simple. Like it is designed for children. And a lot of the artwork I think is really cool on some of these cards. Like some of them, like, wow, this is like I'd hang this up if it didn't make me look so fucking lame. Uh, there's some really beautiful cards. So if you like Pokemon, if you want a free game, and battle people like online, it's there. Uh, there is a payment version that'll give you like extra cards because you kind of collect these things, and there's like I don't even know how to describe it. Basically, like let's say you have 12 hours till you can open your next pack. There's things you can get and like earn either by leveling up or just buying them to like reduce that time so you can open
Sure.
packs faster.
Yeah.
And you get to a certain point where like you're getting the same cards a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's like okay, so it's when you get something new, it's exciting, but then when you open a pack and you're like, oh, I got 5 cards I already have, it's like I just
Does
wasted
it
12 hours waiting for this pack.
does it collect them like you have 25 ponytails?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's say you have 25 ponytas. You can sort of like get rid of some to obtain flair, which makes your card like shiny or something like
Okay.
that. They introduced it. They introduced a trading feature, but it's not like you get unlimited trades. It's a whole other thing. So the trading system I don't love because it'd be nice to just go like, okay, I have my friend. He has this card that he's willing to give me, and I have some BS I can give to him. Oh, but I need to like earn a certain amount of things so I can then make that trade, and then that goes away, and I have to like accumulate that again. It's like some of that stuff's like really annoying.
Okay.
But as long as you don't pay for the premium, it is free, and you can just play for it and just like collect and whatever. But it's very simple and kind of fun. And as a kid who like grew up when Pokemon first came out and like has seen how it's grown. Like I do love Pokemon in a way, even though I've pretty much outgrown it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to play with the cards but not spend any money on the cards, like this is a kind of a good alternative to do it. So we'll see how it goes. I might get bored of it after a while, like I do with most things. But yeah, if you like Pokemon, it's this hot new thing that everyone's getting on. Check it out.
Is it called like Pokemon Mobile or something?
I believe it's called Pokemon TCG Pocket.
Oh, what is that? What is TCG?
Trading card game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I guess that makes sense, but still too wordy.
I don't know.
Mm.
But yeah, it helps if you have friends who have been playing for a couple months and they have all these cards that they can now trade you.
Well,
So
count me out.
yeah, get friends, kids.
I got 2 movies. Uh, both on HBO, new releases. Wanted to see these in theaters last year, didn't get a chance to. Uh, First one is A Different Man with Sebastian Stan.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it is about Sebastian Stan is born with this affliction. You don't see it when you're born, but as you get older, you have these like lumps metastasize on your face, and you start looking out of sorts, like bigger cheeks. Your eyes get closed off. It's harder to speak, and it just gets worse and worse every year. He lives a very simple life. Some people are kind of staring at him. The other people who know him treat him like a normal person, but he just lives in his dinky little apartment. But then a beautiful blonde lady moves in next door, and he's smitten immediately. And from the get-go, she's nice to him. She doesn't treat him like a weirdo. She doesn't sympathize him. She's interested in hanging out with him, but she can tell that there's something going on. He definitely likes her. She's a writer, but she has kind of a writer's block. He wants to be an actor, but all he's really done is acted in a workplace video of how to interact with people with this condition at work. So he wants to impress her, and he goes through this radical experiment that would kind of remove all this, like your quote unquote normal faces under all this, and we'd be able to undo it. And they even like make a mask of his face so they can see the changes as it goes and compare it to. And it works. And it's one of the only like gory scenes of it, but he's like pulling off chunks of his face.
Ugh.
It's really, and he's screaming. It's pretty gnarly. And then, looks in the mirror. He's Sebastian Stan.
What a way to go.
So he
no
goes
plastic surgery, just rip off your face and you got a handsome face under it. Awesome.
So he goes out on a night out in the town to try it out. Everyone's treating him normal. He's at a bar. There's some rowdy guys cheering for a sports team, and they're hanging out with him. And a chick takes him to the bathroom to blow him, and he's like, "Wow, this is what normal life is like."
Yes, it's that easy.
I mean, when you're Sebastian Stan,
yeah, sure.
He goes back to his life, his house, and realizes like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore, and pretends that he is a family member of this character, and then that guy died. And so his neighbor, he doesn't tell his neighbor or anything like that. She just thinks he killed himself and goes off. This is where, like, I know it's important to where the story's going,
Sure.
what has happened, but I wish he told her, and that we can see him grow with this and watch his personality change with someone who knows who he was beforehand. But it's fine. He becomes like a real estate guy. He's on all their posters. He's Mr. Handsome, and he sees her in the street and follows her, and she's doing auditions for a play that she wrote. And the play is her meeting him and them falling in love, and what could have been.
Right.
And so he tries out for the role, and he gets it. So he's playing himself in this role. He even like uses the mask they made so he could, because they talk about, is it wrong to hire like a handsome guy to play like a disfigured person? And so he like gets the part, and he's just happy to like be in her life. And she's looking at him like, there's something here. So familiar. But then he meets a man who has that condition and is living the greatest life. He has charm, he's outspoken, everybody wants to be around him. They think he's like just the best guy, and he's really interested in the play and kind of like I don't want to say worming his way in, but
Mhm.
it kind of just makes more sense for maybe him to play this role. And Sebastian Stan is like, how fucking dare you like live this life that I had and I couldn't deal with it. Uh, and now I'm the beautiful one, but people want to be around you. Like, how fucking dare you? And he goes off the deep end.
Mhm.
And it gets a little crazy at the end, but all in all, it was pretty good. Really well acted. The special effects for his face, it looks so real. And then when you see the guy who actually has this condition, it's like that can't be real. That has to be a prosthetic, and it is not. And he's really fun in it and like charming, and you see why people like him. But by the end of it, I don't know if I really cared about the movie.
Mm.
I do like the things that it says, and like I said, good performances, but it kind of just lost me, and I was kind of just going along with it. It didn't hook me, and
Sure.
him going off the deep end should be like the more fun stuff, but I don't know. I just wasn't for me.
So would you say this and The Substance would be a good like double feature,
That's
or
what
is this
was
one like the antithesis of The
no, they're
Substance?
saying like this is the substance for men, and
Okay.
I can see that.
Sure.
Definitely different, but as a double feature, yeah, it kind of would make sense. But yeah, it's definitely not a bad movie, and I get why people would put it on their top 10 list, but I think Sebastian Stan was better and the movie was better in The Apprentice,
Mhm.
even though that's like a hard watch because knowing that it's all real,
Yeah.
it just grosses you out. And this one really pulls on your heartstrings. But I just started losing interest throughout. Once he kind of pretended he killed himself, it kind of lost me.
Yeah.
But that's my problem because I expected the movie to go a certain way, and it does something different, and it kind of needed to go that way. But I think you would probably like it more than me. I would recommend it to
As you're describing, I
people,
was like, this sounds pretty good.
but for me, I don't know. I didn't love it.
Okay. What was the other movie?
Oh, I'll let you go and then I'll do the other
Oh,
one.
okay. So we briefly talked about it off air, but I watched Rebel Ridge.
Yeah,
We watched the first 15 minutes together
yeah.
last week or whatever it was. And I was like, oh, this seems pretty good. And man, this movie makes my top 10 of the year. I fucking love Rebel Ridge.
Rebel Ridge is a good movie.
Ridge is, it's kind of hard to say. Rebel
Rebel Ridge, yeah.
Ridge.
Rebel Ridge.
That movie's the shit. Like,
Yeah.
it's not, it's an action movie, but it's not like big and flashy.
He doesn't
It's,
shoot
he
anyone.
doesn't kill a single person,
Yeah.
but it is awesome.
And like fucked up knowing just how corrupt police forces can be. And this happens all the time.
Yeah. Um, because the movie opens with him just getting like shook down by the police, take his money, even though it's like how they have no real cause to take it. And then he keeps giving them outs and just like I'll go away, just get my cousin out of or give me the
Yeah.
money so I can get my cousin out of jail and I will go away. And they're
You
like,
could even keep the money.
yeah,
I just want this one simple thing.
and they just won't back down. And then he's just like, all right, fuck it, no, I'm going all out war on this
Mm-hmm.
small town police force, and it's just him kicking ass, and it's so much fun. I've never seen this guy before. I didn't watch Old, where he was mid-sized sedan
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever his
that's
name
right.
was. But uh,
Greatest name in movie
yeah,
history.
he's such like a stoic. Like he doesn't have a ton of personality, but I just feel like he's got so much fucking charisma in this movie
Yeah.
somehow. I'm watching this movie and going like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's a fucking star.
Yeah.
There's
He's
a
got that resting face of just like that pierces through you.
Yeah. There's a part in this movie where like they tase him in the back and he's just like he takes it and then just rips it out of his back and it's such a small thing, but I was like, damn, that's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, I won't go beat for this movie, but I thought this movie was a ton of fun. and is just like, I think, took a small story but made it feel big,
Mm-hmm.
from a director who I've liked all of his previous work, Blue Ruin and Green Room. Check them
Mm-hmm.
out. Much more violent, much more fucked up. Um, so like this doesn't quite feel like those in
Mm-mm.
tone.
Not at all.
This is more of like, oh, I'm gonna do a studio movie where there's like kind of like more of an upbeat, happy thing going on, where like the good guy takes it to the bad guys, but like doesn't kill anybody. But it, I don't know. I just had a ton of fucking fun with this movie. Top 10 of 2024. I'm changing my list.
So
Uh,
what got bumped?
Probably Nosferatu. It was number
Oh,
10.
okay,
I'd have
okay.
to relook at the list in case I could. It fluctuates.
Yeah,
But yeah, top 10. So much
yeah.
fun.
I loved
Aaron
on.
Pierre, I believe, is the actor's
Yep.
name. I guess it's going to be Green Lantern.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
like, after this movie,
Perfect
I'm
John
like, yep,
Stewart.
give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
This dude is awesome.
I like Don Johnson. He's good at playing scumbags who wear a cowboy hat. That's kind of been his thing for a while. I like Anna Sophia Robb. Ever since I saw Bridge to Terabithia and like loving that book as a kid because
Hmm.
it shocked me. Like how could she die? I can't believe it. So when they made a movie, I was super excited, and I think it's a really great movie. I'm like, this girl's great. And she hasn't had a crazy career,
Hmm.
but she's still working. And we were talking about like babyface forever. Until she hits 45, she's gonna look 12.
Yeah, that's one of the minor gripes. It's like not that she was bad. It's just, well, I think more or less you could have replaced her with any actress, but I think she
Sure.
does look. They did a good job of making her look like a hometown kind of girl. Like
Mm-hmm.
they didn't just get like they didn't make her look like Margot Robbie or something.
No.
Like no, she looks like she's from this town, but still very pretty. Just that it just looks so weird because usually you would put someone like his age, and they might be like super close in age,
Yeah.
but she just looks 18 and he
Mm-hmm.
looks 35 or whatever, and so it just and at the beginning when we first started watching it, I was like, Ben, are they gonna have a relationship? Because I don't want that to happen at all. And you're like, no, 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 no. So spoilers, they don't hook up at all.
Yeah.
They're just good friends, and I think they did well together. I liked their team up. It was just jarring because it just seemed like she was so much younger than him.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's a
the
little long too. Like I would say her with the whole giving her heroin, having her backstory. I know she
Sure,
needs to have, character,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I feel like maybe some of that could have been cut down. Movie didn't need to be over 2 hours.
Yeah, it felt like here's an incident, we let him go. Something brings him back. Here's another
Yeah.
incident, we let him
Back and
go.
forth,
He
back and
comes
forth.
back. They do that a couple times where like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, maybe if you cut out some of that, like still give her that like, oh, I had a heroin addiction or a drug problem and I don't have my daughter. You could still have that, but cut out maybe the first one or like you could still have her like getting into trouble by getting her tied up in the like the arson thing that
Yeah.
they kind of involved with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think the movie's like 2 hours and 12 minutes. You probably
Yeah.
could have got it down to
Two.
two.
Yeah.
It might have been a little tighter. The only minor gripe I have with it is it's not that it's like bad. It's just kind of I wish I knew more about that character to why he does this turn. Because at the end, spoilers. There's kind of like this big final showdown, and one of the cops who like was the one who like kind of fucked with them in the beginning of the movie is just
Oh,
like, hey
Roy
guys,
from The Office.
Roy from The Office, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, hey guys, we're cops. We can't just murder this guy in broad daylight. Let's
Mm-hmm.
all chill. And then he kind of like joins his side at the end, which
Mm-hmm.
like I guess it's nice to see that not all these cops are like horrific monsters per se, but like it was just kind of character turn from
Yeah.
a character who like we saw do multiple bad things throughout
Yeah.
the entire movie.
You
And
were the one
suddenly
that took the money
he's like,
from him.
yeah, you took the money from him. You backed up Don Johnson. I know he's like your boss and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and here's this guy who beat up your coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the end, it's just like, hey man, like my bad. Let's get out of here because now they're gonna kill me because I said don't do that.
Yeah. Do they
Uh,
kill him?
no, no, no.
Okay.
No one dies in this movie.
Yeah, that's
Uh, they shoot him in the leg and he's bleeding out, but
okay.
I think it's assumed that they're able to save him at
Okay.
the end. Maybe they don't answer that, but I'm pretty sure he lives. Uh, but yeah,
You could bring your mic a little closer. You have the whole edge of your tape. There you go.
but yeah, man, I really dug this movie. If you haven't seen it, you like action movies, you like badass dudes doing badass things. Rebel Ridge is for you, man. It's a ton of fun.
There's something about a guy just like grabbing a dude's gun, hitting him in the face, and then disassembling the gun and throwing it
Hmm.
away, and then going to the next one. Love that shit.
Yeah, there's so much like simple shots of like him just being good at what he does. Just the shot of him like walking towards the camera and just like unloading all the
Yeah.
ammo from the gun and tossing it away, or like throwing it in a dude's face.
Mm-hmm.
Just such cool stuff. There's one fight between him and Don Johnson and another police officer where he like disarms this guy, throws him to the ground, goes back over to Don Johnson, like throws him to the ground, gets his gun back. This guy's getting back up. He goes back. He's just like going back and forth,
Yeah.
knocking them both
It's
down, going
like
like, "You can't beat me."
like a video
It's
game in like Sifu or something. Like, let me take this guy, trip him. Okay, now let me
yeah,
go handle this guy.
and it never feels uh Hollywoody. It's for lack of a better term, it doesn't seem overly choreographed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
do I believe that this would actually work out this way? Probably not.
Yeah.
But it also does. It's not like there's these big action fight sequences where they're throwing punches back and forth, and someone should be knocked out by now. It's just like, no, he's just knocking them out like right away, or
Mm-hmm.
just taking them down, or like breaking their arm so they can't get back up. All that kind of stuff. It's just real simple but really effective. Rebel Ridge is awesome.
Wow. My last movie is Your Monster. It's a story of a woman who is with a guy for like 5 years. He's writing a play. He wants her to be the lead. She's helping him fine tune all the music. Or it's a musical.
Okay.
And
You hate musicals.
no,
Oh, the thing that they're writing.
The thing
Okay,
they're
sorry.
writing is a musical. And it's Marissa Barrera from Scream.
Nope.
And then she gets cancer.
Okay.
And he's like, I can't deal with that. Bye. And dumps her. And so she has to move back into her mom's house, but her mom doesn't even live there. Like, all she really has is this shitty best friend who's really flighty. Like, oh, I'm going in for my cancer treatment. Okay, I'll drop you off. See you later. Like, oh, you're not coming in to help me? Oh, I got karate class, so I got to get out of here. I think she even says, like, I have adult karate or something like that. She's just very flighty and very self-centered. So she's in her mom's house in New York, and there's a monster in her closet. And it looks very Beauty and the Beast-esque. And he's like, yeah, you don't remember me? You were like doing 7 Minutes in Heaven in 6th grade, and I attacked that kid, and you saw me doing this thing. And like, oh, I thought that was my imagination. And he's like they have a little feud at the beginning, like, this is my house now, get the hell out. But she orders pad thai, and he likes pad thai, and like they just bond over things, and they become good friends. And
So, like, when the mom comes home, does it like
mom doesn't come home. Mom never comes home. She's on a vacation. She's just rich and takes trips. The house is empty.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
I think if the mom ever does come home, he just hides in the closet. He
Sure,
just
I
stays
just wasn't
there.
sure if like this monster is seen by other people.
Now, that's the thing.
Okay.
This monster could be a real monster in her closet. It could be her subconscious that just kind of talks her through her problems, or she's having a psychotic break.
Sure.
And there's nothing there. And it could be all of them. It could be any of them. It's up to you how you want to interpret it, because there is a part where she's going to a Halloween party, and she invites the monster and like, hey, you already got your costume. Yuck, yuck, yuck. And he's like, I don't want to go. But then he shows up. And they have a good time. They're dancing and everything, but he never interacts with anybody else. Nobody comes up and goes, hey, bro, nice mask. That's typical of what you would see in a movie like
just
this.
So I'm clear, this is like it looks like it's not like a CGI monster. It
Nope,
looks like a guy in a
it's
suit.
a real dude that looks like Beast from Beauty and the Beast.
Got it. Okay.
And he's just wearing normal clothes, and he's got claws and everything. So they hit it off and even fuck, and she sees that her boyfriend is doing the play and casting it and everything. She goes out for it, and he feels bad for everything he's done. So you can be the main role's understudy. And so, she's happy that she gets to be a part of it, but is kind of pissed, like, I helped you write all this. It should be my role. And so the monster is helping her like get revenge on him. Like, she sees him fucking the lead behind stage. So the monster pulls a trapdoor, and he falls and breaks his arm. And, but was it just her pulling it, and it's the monster in her head just telling her, maybe you should do this. I won't spoil the last half of the movie, but I enjoyed this better than A Different Man,
Okay.
uh, but just only slightly because this isn't my typical movie. I don't really like romantic comedies,
Sure.
but it does have a fun take. Oh, and the monster is, in Saturday Night, the asshole writer who's makes the big speech, but he's
Yeah.
like bad on camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's him.
Oh, okay.
Um, but I will say, for being two things I don't like it has musical numbers in it because they're obviously performing the thing, and romantic comedies. I It's not very funny, but I really like the music. Like
Okay.
the songs in the play are pretty great. I was really this one gets better as it goes, where I think A Different Man, um, or I shouldn't say gets better. My interest rose as it went. With The Better Man, it went down, but still not my go-to. Uh, but all in all, thumbs up. I think watch it with your wife. I think you guys would have a good time.
Okay. Cool.
And Marissa Barrera, she's the Scream people, they really did her dirty on everything, and I just hope she keeps making movies because she's good.
Look at you watching some sort more like indie kind of stuff, like
Yeah,
under the
I'm
radar.
not opposed to it. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
I was
Things that I would
scrolling.
like more than you, you're checking out, and
I
I'm
was
still not
scrolling
watching
on.
Walking Dead.
Yeah, that's fine. It was on HBO, and I was like, oh, well, this is the wonders of having cable and a DVR. Find a later showtime, record, boom. I don't have to search for it on streaming because even though that's not a hard thing to do, it can be a deterrent from watching something. Oh, it's already on my DVR. Boom. Even though I have like hashtag NOLA and Captain Fantastic on my DVR for years, Life After Beth, like these things I was like, oh, I want to see, but I just haven't gone back to. Um, but yeah, thumbs up.
All right, cool. My last thing is I don't know why I'm looking at my phone. I know what it is. Um, I watched season 1 of Shrinking on Apple TV Plus.
Okay.
Shrinking is stars Jason Segel as a therapist. His wife died a year ago, and it's just him kind of how do I raise a daughter after this horrible tragedy? And it sounds like a downer, but if you love Ted Lasso, Shrinking is for you. If you love any of these kind of like feel good shows, this is the feel good show to watch. Now it didn't like make me cry like Man on the Inside or Ted Lasso did, but it's only one season. Oh, season 2 just came out a couple months ago, uh, and I haven't started that yet, but I hear it's good. But man, this show, it's it's really funny. Every episode makes me laugh. All the side characters are great and charming and funny. There's no sort of like punching bag. They're all like nuts, but in like a good way. They're just like this group of people who all care about each other and will like happily bust each other's balls. But it makes you feel good emotionally. And like where Ted Lasso was like kind of about men and going against toxic masculinity tropes, especially in like sports and the effect on fathers on their sons. This is just like a show about how can we sort of tackle different mental health issues, but not really like beat you over the head about it. It's just like, hey, this thing is bothering me. Let's talk about it and grow from it, and how other people can sort of help pull you out of like the darkness and stuff. And it's a beautiful show. I think Jessica Williams, she plays Jason Segel's like colleague. They had their like I guess a therapist firm.
Yeah.
It's her. It's Jason Segel, her, and Harrison Ford. And Harrison Ford's kind of like the I don't know if he like owns the place, and they kind of like, or I don't know if they're all equal partners. I don't know if they ever said, but Harrison Ford's kind of like Jason Segel's mentor, and he's doing his Harrison Ford thing of just being like a real grouch, but like actually being vulnerable. And he has Parkinson's, and like he's struggling with that. And Harrison Ford is great. And like, yeah,
That's what I've
Indiana
heard.
Jones and Han Solo, icons. But everything else of Harrison Ford, never really gave a shit about. But Harrison Ford is so good in the show. And Jessica Williams, I am in love with her. I think she is the shining star of the show. Like every scene she's in, she steals. She's super funny. I want to be her best friend. She's who I want to be when I grow up. She's so fucking cool and awesome, and It's from the creators of like Scrubs and Ted Lasso.
Mm.
All those guys who just make your heart feel good. It's the best. I highly recommend it to anyone because it'll make you feel good and make you laugh. Yeah, that's my recommendation.
See, I watched the first, I think, 3 or 4 episodes, and it didn't hook me enough to keep watching. Every time I thought, should I start another one? Like, nah, I'll come back to it. Because I didn't find it all that funny.
Really? Okay.
And like I like the idea of a therapist telling the truth to the patients of
Mhm.
like, oh no, you're the problem, and just telling it as it is. But I don't know. Like I said, cold heart, uh, and I can't feel things. Yeah, I never felt the need to go back to this. And then when I heard like, oh, season 2, it's just as good. Harrison Ford is so good. I'm like, really? I don't remember him barely even being in it.
Yeah, I think the first few episodes, Harrison Ford kind of takes a back seat. Um, but I think he gets better as the show goes along. I mean, I think they pretty much all get better as the show goes along.
Hmm.
And the first like couple episodes, it's a lot about Jason Segel and his new patient Sean, and sort of how he helps him. Uh, and you think Sean is like this kind of violent, like kind of dickhead, but then he quickly becomes like one of your favorite cast members because he's just so like likable and charming. He just has like this problem that Jason Segel is helping him with, and uh, the first few episodes, it kind of feels like, oh, this could be the show where, oh, here's a new client, here's their problem. What sort of kooky advice can I give
Yeah.
them, or like how can I take them out of the situation
What
to
does
like,
Jason Segel learn in the episode that he then
yeah.
takes back to
But
teach
all that
them? Yeah.
after like episode 4 or 5, like they just toss that aside. I mean,
Okay.
he still interacts with patients. You still see these like little moments of like, oh, how he helps this person. But really, like you don't in a show where everyone's a therapist. There's not really that much therapy.
Hmm.
It's more of just like an outlet for them to like, oh, I'm going to take this moment that I had with this person and then use it in my real life scenario. Um, and lots of fun not a ton, but some fun cameos from people who have been in the sort of like Scrubs and Ted Lasso universe and all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. So yeah, I recommend it. I think season 1 gets better as it goes along, and Jason Segel's really really funny in the show, and highly recommend.
All right. I'd love to say I'll go back to it, but I feel I would need to start it over. And it's like, I already put in a couple of hours to it. Do I care? We'll see. There's too much stuff already. All right, let's get to our main topic.
Sure.
Companion, first time director. What's the dude from Wise Kid You Know who made Barbarian?
Uh, Zach Morris.
No, but Zach sounds correct.
Barbarian was made by Zach Krieger.
Zach Kreger. He was going to make this movie as his follow up to Barbarian, but he decided to just produce it and pass it off to Drew Hancock, who this is his directorial debut feature, at least. He was mainly a writer for like Blue Mountain State, Suburgatory, Fred the movie, or Fred, yeah, Fred the show, the movie.
Ew.
Yeah, I know. Not a huge filmography. It's a This is a strange movie to be in January. They normally dump their absolute garbage, but with things like Presents and this, it's not the worst January we've ever had because this is a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine. There's not a whole lot of flaws to it, but it doesn't do anything new. We've kind of seen some of this rogue AI stuff before
Yeah.
with like a Megan or the one with Megan Fox where she's a sex robot that becomes aware, but it has a little more personality
Mhm.
than others, mainly because it has Sophie Thatcher and
Jack Quaid.
Jack Quaid. I was going to say Dennis Quaid, and they're just great in everything they do. My roommate and our friend Nick they were shitting on Jack Quaid, just saying like, oh, he's only famous because he's a nepo baby. I don't think so. I think he's talented enough, and we've seen him in enough stuff that proves that he probably would still have maybe not this career, but a
Sure.
career without having, you know, uh, famous celebrity parents. Steve, you want to give us a little rundown on what Companion's all about?
Yeah, so Companion is a story of a girl who's in love with a boy, and they've planned a weekend getaway at they're getting together with some of his friends at this sort of secluded house in the middle of the woods, just to have a good time together. She's a little nervous because she thinks, oh, I'm not sure if your friends like me.
I
Uh,
know one
I
doesn't
know
like
one
me.
doesn't like me, and
Yeah.
he's like, babe, don't worry about it. It's going to be great. And then a murder happens, and then due to that murder, she finds out I'm a robot.
Yeah.
And then the cascading horrible events that follow.
Yeah. It's it's supposed to be a surprise. They definitely shoot it as if you don't know that going in, and if you don't, that's how you should. But that second trailer ruins that.
Yeah, if you didn't watch a single trailer, and you would have probably gone like, "Oh wow, what a cool twist."
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, the first trailer. After the first trailer, it's a lot of vague stuff and like some pretty cool imagery, and you're like, well, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Yeah.
But I called it. I was like, "I think she's a robot."
Mm-hmm.
And the second trailer just confirms she's a robot,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, don't do that."
If you read the IMDb synopsis, I'm glad they do it this way. But it says a billionaire's death sets off a chain of events for Iris and her friends during a weekend trip at his lakeside estate.
Perfect.
And like they talk more about the dude who dies who has barely any screen time than anything else, but that's how you should do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You clocked certain things earlier than I did. I wasn't taken by surprise by anything. This is a movie. I wondered. I think I would have clocked the thing you said, which we'll talk about, maybe about 3 seconds before it actually happened. I think
yeah.
just the way when you notice how he talks to her and how other people treat her, some of those similar things in dialogue, I'm like, oh, okay, you're right, Steve, you got it. But we're just gonna do spoilers for this.
Here on out.
Jack Quaid actually has jailbreaked his sex robot to do this murder so they can
What's
make
the term he preferred? Emotional support robot or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. Shit, I lost my train of thought.
Jack Quaid jailbroke.
Yeah. So they could run away with like what was it, $12 million? I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 12 million. So Jack Quaid is kind of a moron in this. Yes, he has this plan. He thinks it's foolproof. I think even if they would have gotten her, he wouldn't have gotten away with it. One, because he didn't know about the reviewing of the cameras within the doll. But I think even if he destroyed her, I don't think they would have gotten away with it. It's especially in a world where you can have these robots and they don't kill, to try to blame it on her and she went crazy and we had to crush her and there's nothing salvageable. Like those repair guys knew jailbreaking a robot is possible.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to get away with this. I think they needed a better plan.
Yeah, I mean, we're jumping way to the end, but that was one of my favorite jokes when they wheel her out, and he's like, so that was kind of weird, right? He's like, oh yeah, that guy definitely fucking jailbroke this robot.
Yeah.
He's going to jail. Like they knew immediately, but he played it cool. But it just makes me wonder, like, how many times they've seen this kind of thing happen.
That's one of my problems with the movie, which it's not really a problem. I wish we knew a bit more about this world. And, yeah, people are jailbreaking these robots. What are they doing with it? What are the ramifications of it? What is the world like? Because we see very fancy high-tech cars. Even the cop car is a fancy car. We have sex robots that can pass as human. What else do we got? I wish there was, maybe they had the TV on and they were showing like, book your vacation to the space shuttle or space station. Just something that just showed we had a little more technology, because you can't just have normal world and sex robots.
No, I think I disagree. I think this did a good job of like hinting at enough things where like I didn't need to see the rest of the world, because you pretty much only ever see this forest and lake and the house one scene in Jack Quaid's apartment or whatever. But it could be set in our time currently, or like it could be set 20 years in the future. We don't really know. Like it all seems very normal. There's no big technology. It's just, oh, there's smart cars and sex robots. That's all the like technology we really get.
It doesn't date itself for future viewings
Yeah.
of, in the world.
But like talking about, oh well, those guys going like, oh well, that's why these people buy these machines and like will torture them. It's like they give hints as to like what
Yeah.
these, like everyone knows what people do with these things.
Sure.
They're to have sex with, or to pretend like you have a relationship that doesn't exist, or to like do horrible things to them that you can't do to a real human being.
Sure.
But I didn't need to see. I didn't need to be. What's that movie that I like that you hate with Denzel's son? The Creator.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't need to be The Creator. It
Sure.
gave me exactly all the things I needed to know. And I think they did some fun things with the AI robot, like how she gets out of certain situations.
Sure.
But I don't think I've seen in other movies per se. That are simple, but effective and fun.
Yeah. And I was making a point earlier that Jack Quaid's a moron, because I understand him wanting to let her know, hey, you're a robot. We forced you. We kind of like made you do this murder so we can get away with it. But I'm trying to let you down easily. And then the friend who's in on it is like, hey, you need to shut her down. And like, let me go into the other room and talk to you. Just put her to sleep. Just put her. All you have to say is, Iris, go to sleep. And it's fine.
The movie's over.
The movie's done. Like, it's just like simple little dumb things. But I get it. If you don't have it, the movie doesn't exist. But I really enjoyed this. I love Sophie Thatcher. She's been having quite the career lately with, Heretic and Yellow Jackets, and just
Rising star.
Yeah. And then Harvey, I don't know how to pronounce it. Harvey Guillen.
Sure.
From What We Do in the Shadows, just like a nice cast of people. That dude from Smile 2 is in it. The other woman is the only person I didn't recognize from this movie. Even the cop, I was like, oh,
yeah,
he was on Ozark. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the closeted gay guy that burned to death.
Okay, I was like, I was wondering where I remember him from.
Yeah. But yeah, I had a good time watching this, even if I knew that she was a robot. I think all of the interactions and the deaths and the torture that is also spoiled in the trailer, just a good time.
Yeah.
Just like I can't really speak ill of this, even though I was just talking shit on it.
This movie's an hour and a half, nice and tight, just pacing, just keeps going.
Yeah.
Lovely. This movie is genuinely funny.
Yeah.
There's some good comedy in here.
The montage of her figuring out like, what can I do now that she has like better intelligence and showing what would happen. Love stuff like that.
I think back to Jack Quaid, I think he's good casting, because I think he has made a career out of being like nice boy face.
Yeah.
And I think his work on The Boys has just prepped him to be a douchebag.
Yep.
Because I think he seems like he's the guy who you would hire. Like they kind of spoof in this movie. They're like, oh, what's the meet cute? This romantic comedy that we like fall in love with. And he would be good casting for those kind of movies, because he's just handsome, but like not Brad Pitt handsome, but like, oh, he looks like a nice young boy. And
very unassuming. Yeah. It's just like, oh, he's just a tall, skinny guy that seems very affable.
Yeah. But he's a piece of shit.
He's really good.
And I think you can definitely tell this was from the Barbarian people. I mean, they put it in all the trailers, because Barbarian definitely had something to say about like, sexual assault and, men lying and this kind of stuff. And then this one is, at the end, you kind of figure out like, oh, well, this is about like, here's another straight white male who just feels like the world owes him stuff, and it doesn't owe him a goddamn thing.
Sure. I don't think they go as hard on the message, though. I think it would have been fun to talk about the, why people get these robots. And, we have two characters in this who have their own sex robots, and one seems to be because he thinks he deserves it, and one genuinely loves his robot. They even talk about he could have traded up for a new model, but he doesn't want to because he loves this one.
Mhm.
And I think we could have discussions on how this doesn't cure someone from having those issues of thinking the world owes them
Yeah,
everything. And then on the other hand, it can be very helpful for other people who just genuinely want companionship,
sure.
but they don't really get too deep on any of
Yeah.
that.
And I don't know if I need to, but I think that is a fun discussion to have. Like, if this movie was 30 minutes longer,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like gives you a little bit more about the characters or delves more into it, like what are the bigger ramifications of these things?
Mm-hmm.
But I think this movie, for what it is, gives you everything you need and doesn't uh, doesn't linger or like worry itself with like the big details. It's got everything you need right there. Um, yeah, I think Sophie Thatcher Sophie Thatcher was great in this movie. I think there is a fun twist of the thing of this movie is like, oh, this guy who's involved with the Russian mob, he deserves to die. That's why we're taking his money. And then you find out he just made his money like selling dirt,
Yep. Yep.
like, and it's
He
just
may
like,
not have been the greatest guy because he was hitting on the robot,
yeah,
but he did say something about, well, your boyfriend said this was all right.
yeah,
So maybe he wasn't necessarily bad. He thought he was just riding someone's motorcycle.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you just see it as a machine and you don't see it as a person, like I always say thank you to the series and Echoes and stuff whenever they I just feel you got to be nice to them. So like I would
When the
treat
robot uprising happened, remember me? I was
yeah,
cool to you.
I would be nice to someone's companion. I wouldn't just treat it like a microwave or something. So, maybe he isn't the greatest dude. He is cheating on his wife, but he's not the absolute monster that they made him out to be.
Yeah, there is an interesting discussion there too of just, and that's the main question in so many AI robot monster like movies is if if it looks like a human, acts like a human, does all the things a human does, like has feelings, claims it feels pain, like all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff, but underneath it's just like wiring. Like, can you not see it as like, can you see it as a human? Can you, or like, is it just, I guess it just depends on the person, but I
Yeah.
would be interested to see like how I would feel about a thing that, I can just 99, I like seems as human as possible, but then just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, that thing's a fucking robot. Like, that'd be so weird.
Yeah, especially when it shows emotion and it can cry. And it's not what was the robot from Ex Machina? Eve, Alice, what was her name?
Alice, I think.
Okay. She was, you know, entire internet in my head sort of
Yeah.
robot. So she was extremely smart playing the game, trying to manipulate these guys. Whereas Iris is not that. They said like Ivy League levels
Yeah.
of intelligence, and she is just kind of figuring things out. She doesn't instantly connect to the internet and knows everything. Um, so I more believe her. Like I'd feel bad because I also know she's not so advanced that
Hmm.
I know she's manipulating me. Where Alice, I know that robot will do whatever it takes
Yeah.
and kill me when I turn my back. And I think Iris is one of the good ones. Like I couldn't be mean to her.
Hmm.
I don't care. I'd maybe make fun of someone for having it, but I don't think I'd be mean to the actual robot. If you had one, I'd make fun of you, but I wouldn't make fun of your robot.
Oh,
I'd be
okay.
nicer to the robot than to you.
If anyone's getting one, you're getting a sex
No,
bot
I'd
then.
like I totally get why anybody would have one of these, but I think even if I got one, I'm so lonely and I just want someone there to talk to me. The knowledge that they are pre-programmed to answer and comply with liking me so much would just make me kind of bored.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, you don't truly. I set the things. I'm like, I would have to constantly be playing with those widgets and giving her like bipolar disorder. So it's like one day maybe she's just a little mean to me, and next day she's super nice. Because otherwise, it's like this is just a robot. But
Yeah.
I think it would be a fun novelty, but I'd eventually break up with her and send her back, which is one thing. They say that she was a rental.
Yeah.
Like, how cheap are these things that you can just be renting them?
Yeah, that was kind of my thing. It's like, so we see his dingy apartment. So clearly he doesn't have a ton of money, but we never hear what his job is.
Mm-mm.
We don't know anything really about him. Uh, but it doesn't really bother me, but it just makes me. So how do you? Is, so does this thing cost like as much as a car? Because I would
Yeah.
think this thing has to be like $500,000 to like have a essentially a human being that
Yeah.
you like can own and do whatever you want with. It's but
So yeah,
like even if
it's
you're renting it, that's got to be like I'm just throwing out numbers. Like what do you think that is? Like five
five
grand a month?
5 grand a month, I would think.
Yeah,
For such a piece of technology like that, unless technology like that has become so commonplace, every construction worker, service worker, trash man, if it's robots everywhere,
yeah,
and we start making them cheap, and now they're cheap enough for you to own. Maybe it's like when you do a rent to own for a couch.
hmm
Yeah, it costs you $1,000. You put $50 on it every week, but the interest rate it keeps it up so high that you're paying it off forever.
sure.
Maybe it's something like that. And I know it's just one of those details, like it doesn't matter to the
hmm
greater story, but what did they do? You don't make your payment and they repossess her? Do they just like change out a couple of ports and then send it out to the next guy? Can you buy them refurbished, like used sex robots?
It's got to be like a self cleaning system.
I would think,
You
yeah. But
know,
I think
she
they
just
would.
kind of goes like, and like anything bad inside, she just spits out.
I think it would probably just be uh, standard with the company of like, we know someone's been kissing all up on this thing. We're gonna change out the skin. Maybe the hardware is all the same, but we'll you'll get a fresh wig.
We're getting bogged down in the details here,
I'm
but
just curious. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, we haven't really talked about any of the story beats here. Yeah, so she kills the Russian guy after he tries to force himself on her. Then she kills
But yeah, like then she's
Guillermo.
been
What's his name?
told
On Over in the Shadows, right?
yeah.
Okay.
But she is told that she's a robot. She breaks free, and then they go on a hunt
Yeah.
because they tell Guillermo from What We Do in the Shadows uh, what they're planning. He wasn't in on it, and it turns out his boyfriend is also a
Yeah.
sex robot.
And I don't. The only reason I kind of guessed immediately that he was a robot was one, it's because like, no offense to the actor,
Now,
but it is sort
but they
of like,
cast him for a
yeah, there is a
reason.
discrepancy on their looks a little bit.
Yes,
Um,
he's
the actor who plays Gambo, very lovely
he's an
human being,
adorable
adorable
man, yeah,
little,
but he is a short, heavy-set
yeah.
male,
And
so
then
it
here's
makes
this like
sense.
buff, traditionally kind of handsome
Yeah.
guy. But then also like your first real introduction to this guy is him telling like, oh, how they met and how
Yeah.
adorable, like how much of a movie it was. You even have a quick scene. It cuts to
Mm-hmm.
them and their origin story. I was like, okay, this is
Yeah, it's the
definitely
same thing. Yeah.
yeah. Which one did you like better, the oranges or the dinosaur meat?
The Halloween party seems more organic.
Yeah,
Of just stepping on someone's costume but like I don't know.
someone knocking over a bunch of oranges and they just laugh about it. It's like
In a grocery store,
that would be funny. That'd
it's
be
like I don't know. Like I'm busy shopping. I'm not here to meet anybody.
yeah,
Whereas a party, different story.
yeah. I would. It seems to be a common trope of just like meeting someone in a grocery store because everyone goes, but like I want to know how many people actually like meet someone
I
in a
don't know.
grocery store.
I don't think I look anybody in the eye in the grocery
Yeah.
store.
I could see like plenty of dudes going like, "Oh, it works in the movies. I'll go to the grocery store. Oh, there's a pretty girl. Maybe try
Yeah.
and strike up a conversation." And it never worked for them.
Yeah.
It's
They
got
loiter around the
yeah.
watermelon so they can go, how can you tell it's ripe or not? They just do that for every single one. Like, get away, creep. Okay, next one. How could you tell if it's ripe or not? I think that's how they meet in Fresh, that Sebastian Stan, Daisy Edgar Jones
Yeah.
movie. I think they meet in a grocery store, and
Anyway, but yeah, so as you said, they include the friend into the thing now. They find out the audience finds out that his boyfriend is a robot. And they go on the hunt. Guillermo, I'm gonna call him Guillermo
just
because
yeah.
I don't remember the
His
actor's
name's
name.
Harvey.
Harvey, okay. Harvey confesses his love to the robot. The robot's like, I've been a robot for
Which I really
a
like
long
that of
time.
like becoming self-aware
Yeah.
and then keeping it from your partner. I think that's kind of a cool trope we haven't seen in living robot movies.
Yeah, and part of the programming of these robots is they can't lie. And how does he say that he's able to like you can't lie? How did you not tell me
It's like
this?
it happened in his head, like that's like
It's like you never asked if I knew, so I never had to
sure,
tell you, kind
yeah,
of thing. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Which
But
the lying thing is really fun because it adds a like a wrinkle when a cop comes. She can't lie to him about anything, so she changes her
I think that was my
her
favorite part of the movie.
that was her language to German, so she's not lying. He just can't understand her. Like
Hmm.
that was clever.
Yeah,
And then her playing with her settings, which I called only 2 seconds before it happened, but has to do a voice ID, manipulate your settings so you sound like the correct person.
yeah. I mean,
Which
I think that part is kind of a stretch, but
sure, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
allow it. It's fine.
But for her, that seems like a problem in the world. Like the fact that they could even a jailbroken one shouldn't be able to change their like aggression
Hmm.
level. I can understand having like grumpiness so that maybe you like your partner to be a little pouty or something.
Yeah.
I can understand that, but aggressionness that could kill someone, you think that would be not even available in any
Well,
way.
I'm sure it in the empathetics or whatever the name of the company is, like
And yeah,
that's not any setting of theirs. This jailbreak thing is like I added this setting.
maybe,
Like
yeah.
whatever code that makes them happy,
Yeah,
that you
okay,
can make that same coding, but for rage.
I guess.
So
But the like with the vocal thing, that seems like a bad option as well, just because we do have you could talk on someone on the phone and like, oh, I'm gonna pretend I'm the president and I'm gonna manipulate my sex bot to sound enough like
yeah,
Donald Trump.
it seems like because in all those movies where like, oh, there's a retinal scan or
Yeah.
whatever, it's like, well, I'm just gonna suck this guy's eyeball out and
Uh-huh.
use that. Then we're good. It's but like this is even easier than that because you could
Mm-hmm.
just take a recording of somebody's voice or just like it
Yeah.
just seems like such a easy way to get through any sort of security system that would have
Yeah.
this. Uh,
But anyhow,
but anywho,
they go on the hunt. She kills Harvey. Uh and his robot is like, you know, not, I was gonna say starstruck, not awestruck.
just in shock.
In shock. Jesus,
We're
words
right
are
there.
hard.
Yeah.
He's just in shock from all of it, and um,
Jack Quaid's
Jack
character
Quaid
uses the same mod that he did on Iris.
reboots
So
him.
now
Patrick, I think.
Patrick believes he is in love with Jack Quaid's
Yep.
character, but he put his aggression all the way up to and it's like, go kill or bring back Iris, grab my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so he does that, kills the cop, brings Iris back, and now Iris is back to basically her original self. And
The
then
woman,
hilarity ensues.
yeah. The woman says, "Fuck this! I'm gonna get out of here."
Oh,
Tries
yeah.
to take some money. Patrick kills her because Jack Quaid's like, "Ooh, I forgot to turn your aggression down." And when I say stop her, I didn't mean like permanently, more like stand in front of her and don't let her leave.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then Jack Quaid's terribleness comes through, which like we see in the trailer of him doing the candle thing and burning her
Mhm.
hand, and like, did you not like grow any fondness for this person, regardless of what you think of her or know that she's a robot? That you still wouldn't want to do something like that? I know he's a fucked up dude, but like, I don't know. I love my PlayStation, and if it stopped working, I wouldn't like bash it with a baseball bat, you know?
Well, yeah, but your PlayStation also wouldn't have murdered your roommate and your family.
Yeah,
Like,
and my PlayStation doesn't suck my dick either.
because I mean, in a way, he tried to be nice. It was
Yeah,
only after, okay, well,
that's
my
true.
plan has gone awry. You've killed my
That's
friend.
true. Okay.
My other friend is now dead because of. I mean, he says it's like you've set all these things
Yeah.
in motion. It's like what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like you jailbroke me. You're the one who set all this stuff in motion. I, I was the one who loved you. Um, but anywho, then she like escapes again because the guys from the company he calls them and just like,
Well, he
hey,
makes her blow her brains out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But he's too dumb because he doesn't realize she doesn't have brains. All of her process stuff is in her chest, which I've always thought was like a funny thing. They always put it in the head
Yeah.
in movies. And like, well, that's not a lot of space. You could put anything else up there.
Mhm.
You don't have to follow the same sort of programming and organic layout that humans
Sure.
have.
Your engine could be in your hand.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, the guys from the company show up and take Iris away. They're like, "Oh, we'll reboot her and get all the info." So then he's like, "Patrick, go kill those guys. My plan's falling apart." So Patrick kills the one, and Iris saves the other guy after she convinces Patrick that, like, hey, you don't love Jack Quaid, you
Mm-hmm.
love Harvey.
Yep.
Uh,
And I can't lie.
and I
Yeah.
can't lie. And it's like, and
Oh shit.
that's a good use of that rule
Yeah.
too. So just short circuits his brain. He kills himself, and then she goes.
Yeah, which is why he puts the taser in his mouth to kill himself, but we just established the brain is not in the head. So
Well, yeah, but like if I tase you as a human being, you feel it throughout your whole body. They
yeah,
have all those things that I imagine is all still connect. They have like
I
their
don't think it
own
would
weird
kill
circuit.
him though. Like if that was a direct, like you can shock me on my foot and I feel it. It's not going to kill me.
Sure.
But you put it directly on my heart, it can kill me. He put it where his Wi-Fi receiver was, so it'd be like you shock me in the eyes. Maybe I can't see anymore,
Your
but it's
brain
not
is your
going to kill
Wi-Fi
me.
receiver in a way, man.
I know,
But also, we established she shoots herself in the head. She still goes out.
yeah.
So he basically did the same thing, just in a different way. So it's like, yeah, he might
I
not
guess
be
he
dead,
could
but he
just be
put
booted up
himself
again.
offline.
Okay.
He took himself out one way or another.
Yeah.
He's a robot, Ben. He's not alive anyway.
No, he's a person.
So then, yeah, a fight ensues. She kills Jack Quaid with the corkscrew that we saw multiple times. The first time I was like,
That's a cool corkscrew.
It made a really loud pop sound. I was like, that corkscrew seemed important. And then the second time we saw it, I was like, oh yeah, someone's definitely getting killed with that corkscrew.
Yeah.
And then she has her own ex machina scene where she like gets dressed and puts herself together and drives off in the sunset
With all the money too. She was smart enough to take the money.
She was smart enough to take the money. And this is the part that I think like really sealed the deal. Just like, oh, what a great way to end it. Is you see her drive up to past another car, and then she looks over, and in the car is another robot of her, but it's got like blonde hair, and you can see the guy like just being a real piece of shit in the car. You
Fat, loudmouth businessman.
Yeah, just like you know that he's mean to her.
Yep.
And then she just waves at her with a robot arm, and the other robot's eyes kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And that's how the movie ends. It's like, oh, that's just great filmmaking right there. Good storytelling.
Yeah, I wonder if like because Patrick became self-aware, so they had to know that other sex robots exist, and I wonder, what is their default programming to think about someone who has a sex robot? Are they supposed to be like, that's a really cool thing, and I like anybody who does that, so they don't make their owners feel bad? Just wonder what they think.
My bigger question is, so people have them, they're walking around, and we're talking about like, oh, because one of the tech guys is like, oh, the Patrick character, he's now in the police officer's outfit. It's like, he's got a very familiar face. Like, that's weird. And they're like, oh, wait, I remember him now because he's one of our older models. So they're selling a fuck ton of these things.
Yeah.
So my bigger question is like, not how do they interact with other robots per se. It's they have to see a bunch of versions of themselves regularly.
True.
And if they do, is there a program in their brain that says like they just like to them it's a different face?
Yeah.
Or it doesn't even like do their program, it doesn't apply to them that like, oh, this person has the same face as me, but they can't be, it must just be another human being who looks like me. Like that's what I'm confused about.
Yeah, I wonder how
that's the only thing that I'd be like, how?
Yeah, because
now that she's free, I imagine like you could say like, oh, the wall has come down, so now she can see all these women that she ran into in her life. Oh, like I can see that those were robots now. But I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a fun way to end it, but it does leave me with a question.
It's like they don't have face blindness because they recognize you, but maybe they can tell who you are, but they can't see your face. Who knows?
Yeah, but that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Another thing I liked, we don't really get a sense of time because all of our memories are generated. My question is, has he had her for a year?
Oh, yeah.
2 years? Or has he had her for like a month or two?
Yeah.
And then this is, because I mean, I guess at the beginning of the movie, it's like, oh, we've been planning this trip for 3 months or whatever he says. It's like, oh, well, maybe he hasn't had her very long at all.
Yeah.
They just know who she is because he's like, oh, hey, I'm bringing Iris, my sex robot or whatever. But it is kind of like a fun idea. Like, you don't know if they've been together for a while or if they've just been together for a short amount of time.
When his friend has Patrick, did that convince him that, oh, this is a normal thing. I can do it too. And now that he knows he can get a bunch of money and probably a new sex robot, he doesn't care. Like, he can. That's fine if we frame this one because I can upgrade. Or yeah, or was it just, right before this trip, and they knew the trip. Maybe they wanted to use Patrick to do this, but they knew how bad it would be for Harvey, so maybe he purposely got her so they can do this plan. Who knows? It's all tiny details that really truly don't matter.
They don't, but it's fun to
just
think
questions.
about.
Yeah.
One bit in the movie that I thought was like really fun was when he's like, "Hey, Iris, what's the weather?" And she kind of does this like robot-y weather person voice, and he says that never gets old. It's like, oh, that's a cute like inside bit we have with each other. But it's just like when he reveals to her like, "Hey, you're a robot." She's like, "I'm not a robot." "Hey, Iris, what's the weather?" And then she does it again.
Yeah.
It's like, see, you can't help yourself. I was like, oh, that's really fun.
It is.
Ow. I think I had one more point I wanted to make, but I guess my overall point is I think this movie's pretty great.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
I gave it a solid B. I think it could have gotten to a B plus if they maybe dived into certain aspects more, but not a lot to complain about. Solid B.
Yeah. I'm also going to give it a B, but a high B. Because I can
not a B plus, absolutely not.
No,
it is not a B plus movie. It is a high B.
A high B. Yeah. Whatever that is. Last thing I remember I was going to say. I thought her costuming was weird in this, but I get why. I think it was just kind of like a subtle, like, kind of like a nod to like the Stepford Wives kind of vibe, and just like, oh, hey, this 1950s look of like the subservient wife who is just like, oh, I love him so much, I want to cook, clean, have sex, all that good stuff. I see why they put her in that, but when the rest of the cast is just sort of like more modernly dressed, and she's dressed like she's from an Austin Powers movie, I'm like, why the fuck did he dress her like this? And there's no like answer to that. I think it's just kind of like, subtle nod to like the overall like theme they're trying to get at. But anyway, I thought it was a good choice filmmaking wise, but kind of like, why the fuck did he dress her like this?
Yeah.
Anyway, you go.
I got nothing else. I was going to wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up.
All right. Well, next week is Heart Eyes and Love Hurts. Heart Eyes and Love Hurts.
Which one's Love Hurts again?
The Ki Kwan action movie. He's a real estate guy.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll see both of them. Hard Eyes just looks like a lot of fun.
I had no interest in seeing Hard Eyes. It reminded me of what's that one movie that had like the leather guy with like the leather mask? There was some sequels. They were all terrible. I think it was called like the Silencer or the. Oh, man, it was like,
The Collector?
The Collector.
Yeah. Okay.
No. It just from the poster, it gave me that kind of vibe. I'm like, oh, this movie's gonna be dog shit.
Yeah, Collector.
And then we
sucks.
saw the trailer in front of this, and I was like, okay, that looks kind of stupid fun.
Yeah. One of those or both. We'll talk about it next week. If you want to get in contact with us, we are at WRPLpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky. Just look WRPL Podcast. Let us know, would you get yourself a companion? And would you chain it to the base in the basement and beat the shit out of it? As always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And keep consuming.